G'day everyone. Today we're going to take a look at how to manage your sales leads in Simply Business. So we're going to start by going across to leads, and from now on we're just going to call them leads. And here we can see that we've got quite a few options. We've got the ability to add a new lead or a new lead step. We can filter our lists by archived or not. We can sort the lists by these options, close date, created date, value, and name, and whether or not it's ascending or descending, and then we can just search the leads. Now you'll notice we don't have just one list of leads, we have columns and we're grouping the leads together by their sales step. Now if you're a salesperson and you know the sales process, then you can skip ahead to the next chapter because otherwise I'm just going to be teaching you to suck eggs. But if you don't really know how a general sales process works, I'll explain that because that explains why we have these columns grouped by the sales step. So a general sales process will start with some kind of initial contact with the person where you might not know much about them other than their name and some basic contact information. You then move them into the qualifying stage where you can find more information about what they need, what service you can provide for them. And at this stage, you might be able to find out how much that sale will be worth to you. That might come later or it might come now. You also might get a sense of how long the sales process will take or when you'll close the deal. So you can fill that in the qualify stage. You will then prepare a proposal for them in whatever form that takes. You will then present that proposal to them or maybe demonstrate your product and what it is you're offering them. You'll then follow up after that presentation and see what they thought about it, see if they have any questions. You'll then prepare a quote for them, and then you'll tell them what the price of your product or service is. And then finally, they will either accept that quote and you get the sale, or they'll reject the quote and you get no sale. Now, of course, at any point in this sales pipeline, they might say, I'm not interested. Now, it may be as early as the qualify stage that the person says they're not interested in your product or service, and so they'll go straight to the no sale step. But hopefully you'll get them further through the process where you can actually present what it is that you offer and then get them right through to the sale, obviously. But it may be at some point further down the track that they find that you don't have what they're after, and that's fine. And so that's why we group the sales leads in these columns so that you can visually easily see where each sale is up to in the process, in the sales pipeline. Now, these sales steps that Simply Business provide out of the box, you don't have to keep. So the first thing you can do, for example, is click on Qualify, and you might decide that you don't want the Qualify step at all. And then you can just delete it. So you say, we're not going to qualify. In fact, you might have such a simple sales pipeline that it's just initial contact, quote, and then sale or no sale. So just 4. And that's completely fine if that's the way you want to set up Simply Business for your sales pipeline. But I won't delete this step, I'll just leave it as it is. What I will do though is show that the qualify step I might want to move. So if I just click the arrow there, now proposal comes before qualify, which is odd, but you still can do that if you want. I also might not call it qualify, I might rename it to something like need, because this is the step at which we determine what the customer needs. So I can do that and I can just rename it need. So initial contact, need, prepare proposal, etc. And then finally, if the sales steps that Simply Business provides out of the box aren't enough for you, then you can just easily add more by clicking on New Lead Step, giving it a name, selecting what position it appears in, choosing a color, and then finally, whether or not this step indicates whether it's a closed deal or you got the sale, or whether this step indicates that there's no sale or you lost the deal. Now, only one sales step can indicate that it's a closed deal or a sale, and only one can indicate that there was no sale or the deal was lost. And those 2 steps already come out of the box and they're at the end here, as I showed before. So you've got your sale column and your no sale column. If I click on that, you'll see that this is the sale step. And if I click on no sale, you'll see this is the no sale step. So they already exist, but if you want to create a new one and assign that to be the one that indicates either it's a sale or no sale, you can go ahead and do that. And then these columns will no longer indicate that. And you might either want to rename them or delete them. So once you've set up the sales steps to match your business for your sales funnel or sales pipeline, you can start adding sales leads. So to do that, you just click on New Lead. Now, the first thing to enter is the name of the lead. Now, this isn't necessarily the person's name. It's just a name to identify where the lead came from or what company it's for or something like that. So I'm just going to put in company as the name for this lead. Now, let's say at this stage, the only thing I know is the person's name was Jane and she did give the phone number. So I'll put that in 111. Now I can scroll down and if I know this information, I can enter it, but it doesn't have to be entered. And that's when I think that this sale will be closed. At this stage, it's initial contact, so I have no idea when I'll be able to close the deal. And I really don't know the value yet because I haven't really spoken to Jane much. So I really need to talk to her to find out what she needs, and then I'll be able to give a value to this lead. But I do know where it came from, and it was a cold call. So I'm just going to type in cold call. Now I don't have a lead source at the moment called cold call. Well, that was a mouthful. So Simply Business is asking me, do you want to add a new source called cold call? And I do. So I click on add new lead. Yes, I want to. And now it's assigned this lead to that source. And I can hit done. And now I have this new initial contact called company, and it's a cold call. So now that we renamed our qualifier to need, what I can do is go back into this lead and I can say, okay, we've got this initial lead and here's Jane and the mobile number. So I call Jane and I talk to her and I find out what exactly it is she needs. And so now we're at the need step. And so I can go and hit done, and we see it's moved into the need column. Now in that phone call, I find out that she's actually quite interested and it's probably going to be $1,000 deal. And I'm hoping I can close it by the end of the month. So I can save that information. And now we have all the information in the tile here. It's a cold call, hoping to close it by the end of the month, and it's going to be about $1,000. So then I need to go and prepare the proposal. Now, there's two ways to move it into that next stage or next step. One is I can open it, I can scroll down to the step, and I can simply put it into prepare proposal, or I can just drag it into the next column. That's the easiest way. And as the sales lead moves through the process, I just drag it into the next column, next column, next column. When I finally get to the quote stage, this is when I would go across to quotes and build the quote. But we're not covering quotes today, so I won't show how that's done. But you'll also notice that as I was moving this lead through the process, the total at the bottom moved. So that now we're at $1,000 worth of quote negotiation stage, but we don't have any value in the other steps. And then finally, I can provide the quote to Jane. If Jane's happy with it, she can accept the quote, and she would do that all through the front end of Simply Business called @simplybusiness. And if she accepted it, then it would be a sale. If she rejected it, it would go to no sale. But Jane accepts it, and so now it's a sale. And so that's how you can manage your entire sales process or sales funnel through Simply Business.